Hi friends, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to my Cosmic Corner of the Internet, where we discuss all things astrology. And today, Astrology 101, how to learn more about this fascinating study and the books, podcasts, videos, techniques that I recommend in your pursuit to study astrology. Before we dive in, if you could do me a favor, like, comment, turn the little bell on, subscribe. I would so appreciate it. It helps me keep the cosmic content coming. And without further ado, let's dive into the video. So first of all, there is no rush in your study of astrology. When I went to UAC a couple of years ago, there was someone there who was experiencing her Uranus return, which is when Uranus returns to the natal degree that it was at your time of birth. She was about 84 years old and she had studied astrology for about 60 of those years. And even then, when I was talking to her, she said, and there's even more that I still don't know. And I was like, after 60 years of study, you still don't feel like you've grasped anything? And she's like, not everything. I was like, whoa, mind blown. So the cool thing about astrology is that if you're someone who has like an active mind that loves to like dive into things, you have picked the right field of study, friends, because astrology always has one more layer and one more layer. So I'm going to be sharing some of the resources that I utilize to help my study. Of course, you have to kind of go with what kind of works for you. For example, if you're someone who is more self-taught, like you're really disciplined, perhaps books are a better avenue for you. If you prefer being in the group of other people, perhaps conferences and classes will be for you. It's, you know, it's your own journey and you don't need to rush it and you don't need to fit a certain mold. I'm just sharing some of the resources that I've found really helpful. Super quick, I do want to mention that I do teach an astrology course called Discover Your Cosmic Calling. The next cohort will launch October 21st, so head to the link within my bio to learn more, but we dive into signs, planets, houses, using attendee charts as real life examples. So if it's after October 21st, make sure to sign up for my email list and you'll be the first to know when I launch the next round. So I'm going to share some books, and I wish I had all the books that I've utilized, but I do book trading, which I really recommend if you're studying astrology because you need to read so much. There's like a bookstore near me where you can trade books that you've bought before for credit to buy more books at the bookshop. So I've been doing that for years and years and years. So unfortunately, a lot of the books that I've used to study, I no longer have in my possession, but I do have a couple. Okay, first of all, Linda Goodman's Sun Signs. Oh my goodness, I recommend this to everybody to get more comfortable with the sun signs. Look how well I've gone over this book so many times. I mean, I love anything by Linda Goodman is honestly amazing, but particularly this book I absolutely adore. It just gets you so familiar with the archetypes, and I'm not saying beginning a level like it's simple or anything like that. It's just, it's really helpful in getting super comfortable with the archetypes. I will say some of the concepts, when was this wrote? Some of the concepts may not be super, modern or like PC, I would definitely say, but I just love her writing and I just feel like, yeah, this came out in the 60s. So obviously not everything aged extraordinarily well, but I love her style of writing. I love the archetypes. This is really helpful if you're looking to gain more insight on the signs themselves. Two other books I've loved in getting more familiar with sun signs that I'm thankful that I kept. One being What's Wrong with Your Sun Sign. It's pretty funny. It's like a gathering of astrologers and they all just kind of like, it's like their conversations about each of the signs, and it's just so funny about shading them. So I kind of just adore it, and I've always found it funny. And it just kind of puts me in my place if I'm ever like feeling too good about being a Pisces. It's like, no, there's plenty wrong with your sign. And it just kind of helps familiarize that there's like a light side and there's a darker side. And then I love Sextrology. Starsky. This was a recent gift and I actually love it. Just in familiarizing yourself with the signs, and it's more modern. So, because some of the concepts that Linda Goodman talks about, they're really like nuclear family, like traditional man, traditional woman, and this is really helpful for like understanding like same-sex couples in astrology, and just really helpful in getting even deeper about the archetypes and the understanding of them. So another really good book. And then if you want to dive a little bit deeper, this is The Complete Idiot's Guide to Astrology, and you might think like, what? Like, what? I actually love this book, and it helps familiarize you with aspects, with generational, with different placements. This is a really nice, as the name suggests, introduction to planets and aspects. And it actually breaks down everything, like Mercury in the 6th house, Venus in the 6th house. It breaks down everything piece by piece. Really recommend. The other book that I've unfortunately traded, although I never should have, but I think I got a good price for it, was the only astrology book that you'll ever need. I'll put a picture of the cover right here. Amazing. Next up, one of my favorite books, and I systematically reread it. It's called Astrology for the Soul. It's by Jane Spittler, who is amazing. And it talks about the North Node, which is just a topic of interest for me. So a lot of the books that I've accumulated are on the North Node because I just think it's fascinating. But if you want to dive more into your North Node and kind of understand like the karma associated with it, amazing, amazing read. Next up, if you're into asteroids, I would recommend New Insights into Astrology by Nona, Gwynn Press. Helpful for asteroids. If you're into spirituality and how that intersects with astrology, Alan Oken's Soul-Centered Astrology, as the name would suggest. And then the final one that I'm going to show today is Astrology and the Spiritual Awakening by Gregory Bogot, which has been instrumental because the coolest thing is it takes biographies of different individuals and breaks down like significant transits that they've had. Like this is one of the books that taught me transits because it takes biographies of famous people and kind of what occurred in their life to trigger. For this book, it is about spiritual figures, so spiritual occurrences, but it just really helps in familiarizing yourself with how transits work. Another suggestion I would utilize is memoirs. A lot of memoirs are printed with like the birth time, like Sylvia Plath. I'm reading her journals at the moment. And when they have their birthday and their birth time, you can run their chart and kind of stay tuned with the things that are happening in their life and then study the transit that way. I'm a voracious reader. I love memoirs. I love autobiographies. So tracking what they're going through with their chart was one of a major way that I learned how to do transits and birth charts. Honestly, I love YouTube. The video format has like really been helpful for me. I love Astrology on YouTube. I think it really helped me learn about transits and outer planets and like kind of opportunities for that. I would just like listen to it while I was at work. Alyssa, she goes by the Divine Venus. She's been doing YouTube videos about astrology for years and years and years, which is really helpful. Virgo, the Practical Witch, has been doing some stuff as well about birth charts and things like that. So another really amazing resource. I love Jessica Lanadou's podcast. It's called Ghost of a Podcast. And then once you're really advanced in your study, then I would recommend the Astrology podcast with Chris Brennan, as it's really, and if you're into Hellenistic astrology as well, it's a good resource. There's a variety of courses that you can take. NCGR is one of the more well-known ones. There's also ISAR, as well as a multitude of other learning opportunities. There's an entire school called Kepler College that is dedicated to the study of astrology. I'm pretty sure there's an astrology school in Portland, so there's tons of opportunities to take courses. What I did is, from the astrologers that I loved and I followed and that I read, if you kind of just follow what they're doing, they'll typically have webinars, have classes, and you can just kind of follow their kind of breadcrumbs that they leave out. Conferences and classes are huge. So look up if there is an astrology club in your city. I live in San Diego, so I joined the San Diego Astrological Society, and it has been super helpful in networking with different astrologers in San Diego, understanding like their career paths and things like that. And I think it just is so much fun to like geek out with fellow people. They have all sorts of fascinating speakers come in for guest lectures of, you know, like our president was April Kent, and she's written so many amazing books. I think the president now is Melissa LaFara, who has a podcast, Energetic Principles, so you know you're learning from people who are truly well studied in the craft themselves. Also, if there's an opportunity to go to an astrology conference, I went to United Astrology Conference in Chicago a couple of years ago, and I actually got it on scholarship, and it was such an amazing opportunity. It was just like 4 days just crammed of classes and lectures and conferences and just geeking out with other individuals. That really helped my study quite a bit. Overall, your journey is your own. These are some resources that have really helped me and mine, but yours is going to be, you know, your own. And it's important to know that there's different kinds of astrology. It's not all the same astrology. So what works for me, what works for someone else isn't necessarily going to work for you. Like, for example, if you are into Hellenistic astrology, Chris Brennan does a Hellenistic astrology course that a lot of my colleagues have gone through and given like really amazing feedback. So maybe that's a lane that you're super fascinated by. Maybe transpersonal, something that really just like piques your ears and piques your interest. Paying attention to what the transpersonal astrologers are doing, what classes they're offering, and diving into that round. Maybe sidereal, your sidereal chart just resonates way more. I know the People's Oracle is a sidereal astrologer, and maybe you want to dive more into that branch. It's about really tapping into the voices that resonate, the books that resonate, and using that to carve your way. There's not a one size fits all. Maybe getting your certification, going the class route works for you. Maybe being self-taught and working that way works for you. And just find your own mixture and find your own combination. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions or requests, this was actually made as a request, so I do take requests, so feel free, comment down below. If you could if you've gotten this far, and comment something down below. Comment the word marshmallow if you've gotten this far. I would really appreciate it. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.